Hi everybody, welcome to another video, and this is going to be a video where I'm going to express my thoughts about, and ideas as well, about fixing the sorry and pathetic state of solo queue, along with potential changes to pro play that I believe should be implemented within the next few years. Alright, let's get started. So, in the beginning, we're going to start off with, I have a bunch of things just listed out here, and I'm just going to go down the list, okay? I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. The first point where we're going to start off with fixing solo queue is phone verified accounts. The problem with this is, well, the reason we need this is because SmurfQ is a depression pool of psychopaths that would buy $2 accounts, troll the games, and then leave, and then go again and buy $2 accounts, because literally that's what the market price is these days. Like, you can buy a level 30 account for about $2, anywhere from $2 to $5 to $10, and some people are just completely willing to just throw that money down. And if the game doesn't go their way, they will AFK games, and there's no accountability. So what you're going to do is you're going to have phone verified accounts. You're going to have 3 to 4 accounts, or however many accounts that should be implemented onto one phone number. And if you get banned, well, if you get banned enough times and you get all of your accounts banned, then, well, the only counterplay at that point is to just get a new phone. Which now what's going to happen is people are going to take the games a lot more seriously, because now they're well aware of the fact that, hey, I can't get banned. Getting banned is going to be taken a lot more seriously. Being accountable for what you, for how you act in the game, is going to be taken a lot more seriously. When new players get into the game, they sometimes get thrown into SmurfQ. This is not an experience that we want new League of Legends players that have just ranked up to level 30 to suffer through. They get to the rank, they finally play ranked, and then they have to deal with all of these people smurfing from all across these random ranks, and the environment is just terrible. So we have to start fixing, you know, and making, we have to fix this and make people accountable for the shit that they say in the games. Moving down, we're going to talk about Riot monitored challenger games. Now, of course, there are a collective amount of people in challenger that seem to lack common sense, and also are very immature. I'm not going to name names, but I've seen some pretty derogatory things and also racist things said in challenger games. And the fact that these people are actually they're contracted on certain organizations and teams is mind-boggling. I'm not going to name names, but you guys probably know from, you know, just the news or whatever. You might follow other channels that talk about this. But what I'm going to say is Riot needs to monitor every challenger game that's happening on that day. For example, there's not that many challenger games happening in NA for sure. Perhaps in EU there's a lot more, but in NA there's only like maybe 5 or 6 challenger games happening at one time, and it's very simple for Riot to just have someone monitor the games to see if the chat is you know, if people are acting at least a certain way or to a certain standard. Now, of course, I'm not going to be that guy who says you shouldn't swear or whatever. Like, cussing and all that stuff in chat is completely fine, but there is a limit, and a lot of people break that limit. I myself have experienced it with multiple challenger players or grandmaster players that I've been in game with, and it's not a fun experience. So Riot, again, if you have the budget to make something like KDA, I know that you have the budget to hire someone for that day just to monitor the solo queue games, or just have someone in Riot watch the challenger games and just make sure that the people that are saying things hold themselves accountable for what they say. Okay? Anyways, moving forward, champ select trolls. Now, this is something that I've seen a lot. Usually in NA, the way it goes is if the draft isn't looking too good, someone will troll the draft. Now, I know that certain players are well aware of, you know, the fact that draft is being trolled, or the draft is being held hostage. If 4 players report 1 player in the draft, the lobby should be automatically dodged, so no one should get punished for that. The player who consistently gets reported and has dodged lobbies should eventually get punished. If you're playing in lower elo, then perhaps putting them in some kind of like troll queue where they can just mess around with their friends or mess around with other players is completely acceptable. Put all the trolls in one side to make the experience of solo queue for everyone else who actually does give a shit a lot better. Okay? Moving down. Now, again, making solo queue better. This is more of an improvement thing. Make bots that play like scripts. If you can make an intermediate bot and you can make a beginner bot and scripts exist, you can level the change, right? You can change their levels, and you'll be able to, you should allow players to go into practice tool and 1v1 a bot that can act almost like a script. And what that's going to allow now is it's going to allow people to refine their own lane phases. I'm sorry, my eyes like tearing up for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's like weird, but anyways, going back to the topic here, you want to make sure that you're able to have players just go into practice tool and be able to 1v1 other players in the lane and help them refine their lane phases. But I don't know why we don't have that, right? Like, people struggle with lane. Lane has been a consistent issue, not with just amateur players, but also professional players across multiple years now. And the same mistakes that were being made a few years ago are still being consistently made today. And nothing can be really done because there's no environment to actually improve and fix their gameplay. And so you should be able to go into practice tool, select a bot. Can the bot play like level 1 challenger, level 2, level 3? Like how does this bot play? You can maybe set the bot's level to like platinum or like gold, or maybe like challenger, or like, you know, whatever. And then the players should be able to play against that. You will improve at lane phase if you consistently do that, right? And this is, again, more of like an improvement thing. Fixing and making people accountable for the shit they say in solo queue, and actually implementing tools to help players get better, will increase the overall skill of the region, and overall, well, every region if you implement it everywhere, of course, right? So again, summarizing that, put bots that play like scripts. I've tweeted about this multiple times. Next, make it a reportable offense for larger streamers not to cover their mini-maps. Now, I don't know how you're going to go about this, but ghosting is an issue. This might not be the potential answer, but it is something. I do just want to at least bring out the issue of, like, if you're a streamer, please cover your minimap. If you're a large streamer and you are playing in Challenger and you can get ghosted, you must cover your minimap. Ghosting is actually still, people still do that, right? But I mean, it's not, this is honestly not much of an issue than like the other things that I'm talking about, from like 0.1 to 4. 0.1 to 4 are a lot more of a, it's much more of an issue these days. The ghosting is obviously a problem, but I mean, this is more of like a social responsibility for players, so just cover your goddamn minimaps when you're streaming. It's just that simple, right? Of course, some people don't do it, and I mean, others people, they don't get ghosted that often. Because I've seen streamers that don't do it and they don't get ghosted that often. So again, this might not actually be a problem. But anyways, whatever, moving forward. I'm hoping that these 4 points, and potentially even the 5th, can at least spark some interest, spark a little bit of an idea, or just a little bit of awareness as to how to fix the current issues that League is suffering in its solo queue. All right, now moving on to pro play. Now again, I'm not like complaining about the state of solo queue or pro play or any of that. We all know what the issues are. We've been here long enough. I'm out here trying to give ideas on how to fix it. Right? Complaining about this issue is yesterday's idea at this point. Anyways, so pro play. Okay, so professional play, of course, has been struggling for a lot of reasons, and a lot of different people have their own opinions about it. But I'm just gonna give 3 straight potential answers to at least help NA and potentially even EU, but mostly NA, because I see the disaster. I live in NA, so I see the disaster here. To hopefully get a little bit better than what it is today, right? So the first point is Riot should hire scouts that go into Challenger solo queue to watch them and find capable players. One thing this will actually start promoting is people in Challenger and Grandmaster to start giving a shit, because now their games are being watched by people that could potentially give them a salary. Okay, Riot should scout people. Of course, those people should have an eye for like the game. They can't just be the random gold plat player that can't even tell the difference between a freeze and a slow push. It should be someone who is able to tell if the player is actually good or if the player is bad. Now, finding people like that, I don't know. That's the problem. But I know they exist, and Riot should consistently scout people who can scout the players in Challenger and Grandmaster, the ones who are talented, the ones who do stand out, the ones who are putting out a positive input in the solo queue, and then hopefully one day scouting them. Right? Or then inviting them for like a potential trial or whatever, right? Anyways, so you must have scouts monitoring challenger and GM solo queue. I'm not telling you to watch every single game, right? But you should have that there. And players in that rank should be aware that they have the potential to be scouted at that level. So they have to start trying. A lot of players just have given up. And if you start giving these types of incentives, and people will start giving a shit, I promise you. Okay? Next, making a position in the scene that scouts coaches. This is kind of like the first one, except it's a little bit different. Instead of scouting players, we're scouting competent coaches. Now, for me, it's over, right? I'm probably not going to make it pro. There's a lot of reasons for that. Not going to go into that. But you must make a position. If there's a head coach, there's an analyst, there's an assistant coach, there's a positional coach, or whatever the hell there is these days. You must make a position that is strictly known as like scouts or something. And what those scouts do is that those scouts, whether they be in C9, TSM, or like whatever organization, must go online to find public content creators and see if they're actually competent and if they could actually help the team. I know that C9, I believe, has done it a little bit, but there's other teams that should do this, and this should just be the norm at this point, where now people who want to make it into the scene actually have a way to do that by putting out public content. There's not enough people putting out public content. The people who don't put up public content and are in the scene, people don't know how bad they truly are. And this was, of course, stated by other people in the past as well. But you again, right, there needs to be a position in league or in the teams that scouts these people out, and this will actually incentivize like new coaches to start putting out content, right? I remember back in 2016 when I thought that I could make it as a professional coach, when my reputation wasn't as bad and things were a little bit simpler, let's just say. Yeah, putting out public content was probably the best thing I could have done to actually start making money off of what I'm doing today. But then people are just not doing that enough. And then I have so many of these random like coaches, quote unquote, that come to me and they want to get better, they want to get big. But it's like, well, you don't have anything to show for it, right? And then of course the people that are already in the scene, and this is something that is done more in the East than it is in the West, but essentially, hold on, is this even the point? No, that's not the point. That's actually my later point. So I'm not going to mention that yet. I'm going to mention that on my third point here. We'll talk about that in a second. But again, finalizing and just concluding my second point here, please make another position in teams where scouts can now, where you get scouts to just look at people putting out content, okay? Lastly, number 3, start investing in staff that is high elo. So stop having coaches in platinum. Recycle. First of all, if you're a coach in gold, there's no excuse. Like, if your full-time job is League of Legends, I'm sure you can spend 4 hours or like 3 hours a day just playing solo queue, or perhaps even an hour a day just playing one game for the entire year. You will get out of gold. If you're truly a capable coach, you are not to be low elo. As someone who has worked with higher elo players will not trust someone who is platinum. If you're D4, I will not trust you to coach me. If you're gold, I will not trust you to coach me. Even if what you're saying is right, there is still that weird like gray area where it's like, well, if you can't do it, don't talk about it. It's quite simple, right? Now, of course, there's also that gray area where I'm coaching challengers, but I myself have played up to Grandmaster, and so it's like it's a little bit like iffy, right? But anyways, whatever. So again, make sure that the coaches you hire actually have a decent rank and have retained that rank for a long periods of time. Now, I don't know what like limit you want to put. Maybe like there's like a D1 limit or there's like a D4 limit. I don't know, but you got to stop having coaches in platinum and gold. You got to stop having coaches in silver. Not everyone is like some prodigy who can sit in silver and then coach like top level players. It doesn't work like that. Not everyone is Bill Gates, okay? Or like Mark Zuckerberg, I guess, or whatever, right? Pretty sure Bill Gates actually finished college, but anyways, not the point. Recycle and fire coaches that have failed to meet a standard. This is something that I continue to, I've tweeted about this many times now. I've said this multiple times. You must recycle coaches that are dog shit. You must fire coaches that are not successful in their teams. You have to have a standard. And this is the only way to start truly improving the region. Of course, there's a bunch of other examples, but these are just some of the examples that I'm coming up with, and some of the solutions that I have that, again, I'll keep building on these, and hopefully one day someone can, one day we'll see them be implemented, right? But anyways, that is it for this video. And just to conclude my thoughts, please be accountable for what you say in solo queue. being toxic is one thing, but then like saying racial stuff and then doing all this like childish shit when you're at the top levels, it's just absolutely unacceptable. And it just shows such a terrible like example for all of the people that are watching the streamer or that are watching you know, the person in chat or whatever, because thousands of people see that shit. People just don't understand. And then lastly, start actually implementing practice tools and environments to actually help foster a positive like change for players to actually improve their gameplay, rather than, you know, just not doing anything. And again, like the budget, right? Like I know Riot has the budget. I know that Tencent or Riot or whoever the hell is in charge of this has the budget to make these things possible. But instead of focusing so much on like the aesthetics of KDA or Worlds or whatever, which I understand, that's very important to do, and there's a marketing aspect to it, I'm well aware that your budget is also capable of fixing the ongoing issues that we've had in solo queue and pro play for multiple years. Okay, anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys for the next one. Take care, have a good night, bye.